I have filmmaker Katie with me with her film This and That. Katie, I'm so happy to see you back at SVIFF with a film
Thank
that's very
you.
different than the clay animation film that you had last time.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about your film, what inspired this particular film, and just your creative process behind it.
Okay, yeah. So my background is mainly in music. I spent many years as a songwriter, which led me to do music videos, which is how we met with my animated music video, which sort of served as like a short film as well. And then the more and more I got into the film festival circuit and met so many different creative people, the more it was just kind of organic for me to want to be in that world. And I've always been interested in doing music supervision, like providing music services for films and kind of pairing up filmmakers with composers and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was getting more and more into that. But it was hard for people to like hire me without experience. So it was like filmmakers be like, okay, great, you know music, but you know, what have you done? What are your credits? And so I kind of got inspired again by fellow filmmakers going to festivals like this and feeling like, you know what, other people could do it. I can do it. I can make my own
Yes.
film and I can music supervise it. So I'll have the credits.
Yes.
So that's how it all, this craziness began. And so yeah, I just, as soon as I decided I was going to make a film, I got the idea for This and That, which is about this girl she's a screenwriter. She wants to write something new, but she's feeling blocked. She has writer's block. And then we find out she's going through the post-divorce process, or she's going through a divorce, and there's just a lot of changes going on in her life. And so she gets finally the courage and the nerve to share her true story through her writing, which opens up doors for her life. And yeah, so the film really served, you know, for me on my path to music supervision, but it also was this like total passion project that I threw myself into and just had so much fun doing.
That's amazing. So how did you who wrote it? Who came up with the story?
I wrote it, I wrote and directed it. And it was just one of those things like, again, I had the idea. I never made a film before outside of music videos or like, you know, the animation. And I was just like, okay, I can do this. And then I woke up like the next day and I was just like, I got this idea. And, you know, it just was this whole passion thing that took off. And never wrote a film before in my life. I just love doing it. And yeah, it's just very
That's
organic.
incredible. So this is like your first narrative short film project.
It is. Yeah.
It's you did such a great job. It's
Thank you.
I'm so floored that this is like your first short film like that you've ever done. Like how did you find the crew? How did you get the locations? Like how did all of like, and it's like really inspiring because I'm sure a lot of people in our audience, like who work in tech who want
Yeah.
to get into film, they, don't even know where to begin. They're just like, where do I
Right.
even start? Like, how did you find all of those people to come alongside you with this particular film?
Um, it was mostly through film festival networking. You know, I had built up kind of a network of people I knew, and I was doing a virtual film festival. I think it was towards the end of 2020 now, and I met some actors there. I met Marissa, who plays the lead actress,
Yep.
Nicole. I met the actress that plays. I'm like the real name with the actor's name, you know. Um, Erica, who's played by Laura Siskoff, I met her at a film festival, and I just knew like when I was writing the script, I kept picturing them in my mind, especially Marissa for the lead. And I was like, you know, she would be so perfect for this. So I essentially kind of wrote it for her in mind. She was just in my
Oh,
mind the whole time I was writing. Um, and then I reached out to her after I was like, I'm sure you're very busy and this is crazy. This is my first film, but can I send you the script? And she was like, I would love to do it. And
Oh, that's
um,
so awesome.
yeah, so it's just kind of organic. Like she knew some actors that she could recommend. A couple people I knew from the music world who also did acting. So a lot of crossover stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so and then I just researched everything on my own. I didn't know how to do SAG and all this different stuff, and I had to just throw myself into it. But
Become
once
a producer.
what's that?
Just became a producer.
I became a producer. It's fine. It's no big deal. It's fine. Um, that was the hardest part. I was like, okay, the creative stuff I got down. Now it's like
The
contracts and
logistics.
yeah. And it was also we filmed springtime 2021. So
Mm.
it was still, I needed COVID compliance officers on the set and all that type of stuff. But just had a great crew of people. They wrote that up and they were super supportive. They knew it was my first time directing and they were great. So I lucked out.
Okay, so what were some of the things, because this was your first project, what were some of the things that you learned from your first actual short film?
Mhm.
And what were some things that maybe like you will do different for the next time around?
Oh, I learned everything. I didn't know anything. Um, but I really like one of the biggest things I think for me is like um it's like you said, someone who's never done it before, it could be very intimidating. But I think once you let go of that fear and you're just like, I can do this, it's really fun if you just allow yourself permission to enjoy the process, even like the paperwork stuff and all the, different logistics things. Um, if you allow yourself to enjoy it and if you empower yourself, like this is something I want to do, I can do this. And whatever things I can't do, I'll ask people who can and
Yep.
they love to do it. That's their thing,
Yep.
so there's no reason to get stressed out or things like that. And one of the biggest things for me was trusting the post-production process because
Mm.
I really wanted it. It's like you film it and you see it and you're like, great, I'm ready to get this thing out there. We did it. But then it's like there's editing and there's scheduling. The editors have different projects. And the music part for me, I'm like, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing this. This is the easiest part. But it was a little bit of a challenge because
Oh, was it?
it's my own baby. It's like this is my baby and I want it to be perfect. And um, so but for me it was like, I had to put the post-production on hold a lot because I was getting music supervision gigs for other films.
Oh my
So it's kind of like
gosh.
the challenge became the blessing, but I also had to put my film on hold. And it was just like finally I thought like, you know what, it's meant to be when it's meant to be and I'm not going to rush it and I'm just going to enjoy the process. And um, that was the biggest thing I learned probably. And for my next film, if I do another film, I don't know. I'll just, go with the flow more and not be so like, oh, this was my timeline. But, sometimes the universe has different timelines in mind. So,
Well, that's so funny that you created this film specifically so you could get more work and like for
right,
music, and it did just that, you know? And
exactly. Yeah.
what like so what did you do? What part of the music did you do for this film? Did you do all the music? Did you write all the music? Did you compose the music? Like what did you do?
So I initially wasn't going to put any of my music in because I thought I want to, supervise the licenses. I want to really supervise it and not just be the composer. But then I ended up writing a song that was like, it fits so perfectly. There's a little montage part. And it just fits so perfectly with the film. It sort of just wrote itself and it was meant to be for the film. So I couldn't deny it. And so I did do a featured song in there and I did a little bit of co-writing for a background song. But otherwise I worked with a composer that scored beautifully, just did a wonderful job for the scenes, and also placed some songs in by other artists as well.
So you have composed music in the past, but you specifically wanted to look for more roles where you would be the music supervisor. So you would be overseeing the composers
Mhm.
and you would be kind of arranging where in the film. Is that what a music supervisor does for a film project?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. A supervisor basically kind of oversees the whole music plan, the soundscape. So sometimes that's like licensing songs, sometimes that's working with a composer or a group of composers, which is really my passion, to kind of say
Mm,
like, this is like talk to the filmmaker and see what kind of emotions they want. Because a
mm,
filmmaker sometimes doesn't always know what to do or like how
yeah.
to communicate in music terms. So I find out what kind of emotions they want, and then I translate that to composers or songwriters, and then go over the music with them, and then when it's finalized, get the licenses and work all that out. So it's basically like the full soundtrack plan.
So, Katie, is this something that you want to do for like the long term? Like this is like your passion, like this is what you want to do, or like what's your passion?
So many things. It's definitely music supervision is my career, so that's definitely what I'm doing. But I'll always be a creator, always writing music, and I hope to do more films as well. It's just so fulfilling to me when I can see like a project come together and help a filmmaker just like not be nervous or stressed about that part, because they might be like, I don't know what to do. I don't even know what sync licensing is. I don't know how to negotiate or things like that. And it's like, it's okay. This is supposed to be fun. It's creativity. And just to give them that like ease and peace of mind that it's all taken care of. I just love that. And I love seeing the emotion come through the music. So it's definitely my main thing.
I know, and like the right music really does like pull a scene together or like pull a film together, you know.
It
It's like
does.
without the music, it can just be kind of flat and like, it's crazy. But once that it's like horror movies too. Like with horror movies, like
Yeah.
music, like scary music just kind of like automatically makes you like tense up, even though nothing's really happening, you know?
Yeah. And sometimes silence is the best thing. So sometimes people think like, oh, I want this music here. And then it's like, maybe it's like better off no music right there and then have the music come in unexpectedly. So it's just kind of like having fun with it and playing around to see what works.
Yes. So is this something that you've always done before, like with music, like you wanting to do music, create music, like being like a composer? Like, is this just something that you've done since you were like young? Like, when did you discover that you enjoy doing this?
Definitely from a young age, I started playing music. I was singing from a young age since I was a kid, and then I started playing guitar when I was 11,
Mm.
and then started performing. And I did the whole touring artist thing for many years.
My gosh, that's
Um,
awesome.
Thank you. Um, but yeah, it's always been my passion, and you know, the pandemic, as for a lot of us, it was the lockdown was terrible, but it was also like a chance to step back and be like, do I still love like, being on the road and playing shows every day? Or, like, do I want to pivot a little bit?
Mm.
So that's kind of where I was at. Was like, I've always wanted to do supervision, which had a challenge because all the productions were shut down. So it was like, well, that doesn't help. But things came back and it's fine now. But but yeah, it's I've always loved creating and being part of music.
Okay, so now that you created this project, this your first short film, like are we going to be expecting to see more short films from you? Like, do you want to do like feature films? Do you want to do music videos? Like, what are the things that like, where are your creative
Yeah.
juices like funneling, like being funneled next?
I would love to do another film. I would love to do a feature film someday. That would be amazing. Right now, it would be finding the resources, but I do have an idea for my next film. I don't know if it'd be a short or a feature, um, but I have like the seeds of an idea starting. So I'm sure it'll happen because one of these days I'll just be like, I must do it. I must get this out of my system, and then just figure it out. So definitely no concrete plans yet, but definitely I'll make more.
And Katie, so did you write your short film? Did you write it too as
I
well?
did. Yeah.
So you wrote it, you did everything. You produced it, you wrote it. How did you find the funding for the short film? Because I know that a lot of filmmakers, when they're like
Yeah.
creating like projects and stuff, right? The funding portion of it is always like the most
Yeah.
difficult.
For me, so you could call it crazy, you could call it smart, but I had a little bit of a kind of like a side savings account that was, for my future, like whatever that meant. It could be, it could be for family stuff, it could be for career stuff. I didn't really put a name on it. But it was always just sitting there for many years. I saved up and I thought one of these days I'm going to know what it's for. Um, and I just had a little bit saved away. And then when this film came about, I did all the pre-production stuff. I put all my budget lists together. And I thought, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And then I saw the total and it was basically exactly the total that was in this bank account.
That is insane.
So I was like, I could spend the time trying to, raise funds and doing crowdfunding or this and that. But I thought, you know what? I want to do this now. I feel this urge to do this. This is an account that's like, I don't know what it's for, but it's for something. It's for my future. Now's the future. I'm going to do it. And I just did it. I used that and I did it. And that's what I did.
And that's great because now you have like a project, you for something. So you have something that you created to show for it. And
Yeah,
it's almost like your calling card, like your resume that you can
exactly.
use,
Yeah,
to show other people what you're capable of doing. And it's not even just like one thing that you're showing people. You're showing people, I mean, not only music supervised this, but I produced this, I
mhm,
wrote this, I like,
right.
just all the other things that, you did in putting this film together, so it's great. I personally think it's you pretty much like invested in yourself. I mean, it kind of was for your career, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's awesome. That's crazy that you had it and it was the exact amount of what you were looking for.
I
It's just,
know. Now
it's
I
like
just
it was
have
meant
to
to
start
be.
making a new one, like putting the pennies in to make the next film.
Yes, yes. Or, it's like, it's one of those things where like when you're connecting with some people, like, you should totally do speed networking, just like connect with people
Yeah.
because like that's like the whole point, right? It's like if you connect with people and you start talking about a topic, and you
Yeah.
find that you have like synergy, who knows, like maybe other people will like want to come alongside you and just, want to help you like make whatever, next project you have in mind.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, of
And
course.
it's like, do you like writing, like stories or like, telling stories that are like about like human experience? Cause like obviously your short film is about, an experience, like the divorce, like the pain
Yeah.
of a divorce, it's like that those are things that, a lot of people have gone through, especially during COVID, right? It's like I think
Right.
I read something somewhere where like I think like the divorce like percentage shot up during COVID because all
Probably
of a
so.
sudden it's like people were around each other all the time.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely have a love for like those slice of life type stories and things that people can relate to. And I found that like so the main message with the film itself too is like with the screenwriting side of things, people say write what you know, but
Yes.
that's not always easy to do because you have to be vulnerable to do that. Like if you go through a divorce, which I also went through personally, it's like
Mm,
you go through certain things and it's like, I can't write that. That's like, that's too close to my heart. That's like, that's hard.
mhm.
So it does take a certain amount of courage to do that. And that's kind of like the message of like, be courageous, like use your voice. Don't just try to be like everybody else or try to be something that's like gonna get you famous or something, but like be really true to your personal story. And a lot of things I saw like about divorce like in films and stuff was always like the couple arguing or like signing the paperwork and it was so dramatic, but it wasn't like the little off stories of like things change with mutual friends or like the way you are with your family or whatever. It's like these little off stories that I hadn't really seen in films that like I
Yes,
wanted to
that's what
put
you
in
wanted to
there.
explore.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
love that. And it's like it's amazing how when we end up being courageous and being,
Mhm.
brave and, stepping into, you know, our stories and being
Yeah.
vulnerable, that we find that other people are also going through the same thing or similar things. It
Right.
almost like unlocks these emotions that were like inside of them that maybe they had like, you know, built like these like walls around so that they couldn't feel. And then when they see something where somebody is going through something similar to them, it's like it allows them to just open up and let those like
Yeah.
walls fall down, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's the human experience. Like we all want to feel we're not alone and like, oh, there's someone else that went through this too. And, just in the movie, it's like, she's sitting to one side of the bed and then all of a sudden she realizes like, oh, I can actually take up space and sit in the middle of the bed and take up the whole bed. And it's like, that's that message right there for me took a long time to learn after I got divorced is like, oh, I can actually take up more space now. Like I
Yeah.
can, be me.
Yes.
So just little things like that I wanted to throw in the film that, just for that connection.
Yes, absolutely. So Katie, if people want to stay connected with you and they want to kind of follow along on your like creative journey,
Mhm.
how can they find you? Like, what are your social media handles? Like, you know, do you have a LinkedIn? Like, how do people like get in touch with
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I have LinkedIn. It's just my name, Katie Garibaldi. And I think all my social media is under my name. I have Twitter, Instagram, are all at Katie Garibaldi. And I have a katiegaribaldi.com. That's mostly my music stuff, which you can find a link to the song I wrote for the film, which is Dear Universe. And I also have a supervision website. My supervision company is called Owl at the Moon. And so the website is owlatmoon.com. Owl like the animal, and then atmoon.com.
Awesome. Well, Katie, thank you so much for sharing your project
Thank
with us.
you.
I mean, I loved it. I thought you did a fantastic job for it being your first short film. Like, so, so great. And
Thank
I'm
you so
honestly
much.
looking forward to seeing more work from you in the future.
Thank you so much, Christina. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course. And everybody enjoy the festival next week and be sure to check out Katie's film, this and that.
Thank you.